Well, welcome to the coolest track of Open Compute. I'm sorry, the cooling environment track of Open Compute. And today you're going to have, if anyone here has participated in speed dating, I haven't, but I think you're going to get kind of a version of speed dating today as we go through very rapidly all the projects and work streams that the projects are doing under cooling environments. I'm Don Mitchell, I work with Victaulic, and this is
Sivapalan from Meta. We're really excited to have you. We've got a great series of talks today. First of all, we just wanted to kind of introduce cooling environments and what that entails. It's been in existence for about a year now. We saw plenty of opportunities to bring together the various parts of liquid cooling and heat reuse and advanced cooling facilities. But I did want to introduce our incubation committee representative here, Steve Mills from Meta.
Hello. So my name is Steve Mills. I'm a mechanical engineer at Meta, and I represent the Cooling Environments project in the incubation committee. And this has made so much progress in the last year since we've broken it out from Rack and Power. So I'm really excited to see what you guys have today. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, so real quick, there's 5 sub-projects within the cooling environments track. We have the...
I don't know what just happened here, but we are now doing the commercial spiel. There we go.
Thank you. So the door heat exchanger is led by John Fernandez from Meta. The cold plate is led by Jordan Johnson from Intel. Our immersion co-leads are Rolf Brink and John Bean. Representing the advanced cooling facilities, John Minosh and John Gross. And then we have heat reuse, and leading that is Cosimo and Jaime.
So I wanted to say we really wanted to get facial recognition because these guys are going to be floating around today. They'll be up here speaking. They'll be in the back of the room. We'll be around during lunchtime for a meet and greet if people want. But during the days, the front rows have all these people populated, and we really, they want to reach out. And I can tell you every one of these projects is looking to recruit contributors and people that want to help us grow and do our work streams. So we'll cover that a little bit more. So go ahead.
Thanks so much. Yeah, there is a face to all of these folks, and we'll try and make that connection for you over the next couple of slides. But the overall project focus is to kind of standardize and define the critical interfaces, as well as operational parameters and environmental conditions. So we're going to go through a quick overview of each of the sub-projects to kind of give you a snapshot of what type of stuff they're working on. So for the door heat exchanger, they've got a checklist complementary to their door heat exchanger requirements, and as well as the specification for the RPU for ALC solutions. And that's about to go through the incubation committee review next month. They also have another white paper and specification that they'll be speaking to today, and so please do join if you can. And then they're also working with the sustainability and cold plate sub-projects on circular economy and sustainability. Our next sub-project is cold plate led by Jordan Johnson. Some of the current committee-led discussions include the cold plate requirements Ref 2. They also have a fluid loop work stream, which is 2 recent contributions on PG25 and treated water. They're also looking at guidance for materials compatibility. We also have the ORV3 blind mate interfaces with Glenn and his team, and you'll see a lot of those presentations today. And finally, they're also working with the door heat exchanger and sustainability tracks on collaborative endeavors.
Which is second, Sean. One thing I would encourage people, the QR codes actually work. They will take you to the web page associated with these projects. So if you're trying to find information, I would strongly encourage taking pictures of these screens because I can't imagine anybody walking away and being able to have read or understood everything on these screens. But for those that are interested in immersion, those that are interested in cold plate, those that are interested in one of these topics, there's a lot of content on these screens and we're not giving it the due diligence. So the QR code will take you to the page, the wiki sites, and on there you can find all these work streams there as well.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, the QR codes are great. Please do use them. And so another really exciting part of cooling environments, and there's a lot of interest in this community, is the immersion cooling sub-project led by Rolf and John Bean. They've got the requirements Rev 2. There's also a lot of work on materials compatibility. There's some interesting cross collaborations such as the OAI with the OAI track. as well as looking at things like sustainability. There's a bunch of talks that Rolf and John are going to be walking us through later. Please do join if you can. Again, the QR codes are great, and if you want to check your schedules, and you'll see the presentations I've lined up. Don, you want to take the next two?
Sure. Hold on a second here. So the next topic, advanced cooling facilities. What the heck is that? Well, that is John Gross and John Minash are the co-leads for that. And what we looked at is the first three topics we covered are pretty straightforward. You talk about immersion, talk about cold plate, talk about door heat exchangers. Guess what? They talk about immersion, cold plate, and door heat. ACF is looking at how to plug those into an existing data center or a future data center, coming up with best practices around and guidelines, trying to get a standardization process that allows us to develop MOPs, SOPs, and EOPs so the industry can adopt those interchangeably. And some of the work streams that have already been published, there's a, BIM specification, correction, the ones that have been published were reference designs and best practices and also connection guidance. We have concurrent maintainability is a topic that we are actively trying to recruit participation in. It's the discussion on how does a current maintainability apply to a liquid-cooled environment versus an air-cooled environment. For those that understand concurrent maintainability, they realize that's a complex and interesting discussion, and the industry, most data center owners are very interested in that, and we need contributors to help work those through. Related to concurrent maintainability is service level agreements and the use of coolant distribution units or coolant distribution systems. There's a lot of space and a lot of growth area here that is fundamental to closing the gap. Yesterday's intro, we said liquid cooling is either here now or 3 to 5 years from now. The gap between those two is ACF. ACF succeeds rapidly, then we will actually be here now, plus minus a couple things that the others are doing. So anyhow, moving on from that, we, hold on a second here. When we started with ACF, we looked at the concept of what happens when you start doing liquid cooling, and the answer ends up being, in many cases, your heat rejection is much higher level, much higher quality. And so the sustainability factor of the cooling environments group is, can we do something with waste heat? And the short answer is yes. And this project here is led by Cosimo and Jaime. And they're in the front rows here. Please reach out to them. They're very energetic on these topics. But what we have been doing here is we've been going around the world, and we've been categorizing in case studies of where heat reuse is being done, projects everything from 100 kW up to 30 megawatt or more. There are applications, and they are, as we categorize them, some applications work with edge applications, some work with agricultural applications, some work in a cold climate, some work in a warm climate. One of the most interesting topics that I found was the desalination, the concept of water treatment with waste heat, which is a fundamental aspect of here. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else we want to, again, I'd encourage you to flash the QR code, and we'll be having a neat panel discussion later on today on this very topic.
Thanks, Don. So again, we want to point everyone to the QR codes. They give you an overview of what each of the sub-projects they're working on. We are really excited that we've got all this content to share with you, and please do join the talks that work out for you time-wise. We want to say thank you and also introduce our next topic, which is managing fluid in a liquid-cooled data center cart, which Saurabh and Jarrett from Meta will be showcasing for us.
So we're still kind of experimenting with the transition process. Good news is I did a high speed, a 15-minute presentation in 9 minutes, okay? So we're ahead of the curve right now, but you're gonna find that some of these, now we're getting in the world where people are trying to deliver more content. We're doing education or introductions and QR code introductions. So as we go through, we're working this through. Do you have any questions as we bring up the next speaker? I can stay on mic if there's any questions or things that popped up in our brief introduction here. We've done really good at keeping people awake for the full first 10 minutes. All righty.
Thank you.